When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services. Providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
And just like that, another year has gone by in a blur of riffs and roars and ridiculous momentum. So welcome to the Year in Review Part 1, where we crack open the vault and revisit the voices that have defined the chaos for 2025. In sports, a voice you've heard shake the rafters before puck drop. The architect behind Vancouver's pitch-perfect future and the guy that steers the city's biggest soccer machine. In entertainment, we dip into strength and symmetry with a champion carved from granite. Not really, but it sounds cool. Jump to a streaming superstar who built an empire one click at a time. Then slide into Hollywood shadows with a scream queen turned scene stealer. Say that one 5 times fast. Hell, say it once fast. And an actor whose intensity could power a small town. Again, not really, but it sounds all right. And in music, you will hear from the frontman who drags blues-soaked distortion through the mud and makes it howl. Another 6-string shapeshifter whose slide work could cut glass, and the metal commander whose vocals sound like a thunder god waking up angry. Yeah, it's been a wild year, fast, furious, and it's gone before you could even hit replay. So strap in, Part 1 starts now. My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for being there. Part 1 of 2, our Year in Review, will also go next week as well. Months January through June this week. And it's because of our amazing sponsors we're able to keep things going with this podcast, like our title sponsor, Citywide Mortgage Services. They've been around since 1995, over 30 years of helping Vancouverites get mortgages. My buddy Dara is one of the owners. They're kind of like the middleman between you and the lenders, right? They work with more than 30 in Canada, find amazing rates on home loans or refinancing, renewals. I worked with Dara at the start of the year. So Trump was just taking office at that point, right? Stock markets were plummeting. And yet Dara still got me just the sickest rate. Like even with today's, I'm super happy. The beauty is they don't charge you directly. I don't know if you know this or not, but assuming you qualify, of course, because they're paid by the lenders instead. It's imperative that you find someone you can trust in this world when you're shopping for a mortgage broker. And good thing I already did the legwork for you. Use Dara or someone from his team to help you with your next mortgage. I wouldn't use anyone else. Hit them up through citywidemortgage.ca. Citywidemortgage.ca. Okay, coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, ET Canada's Sangeeta Patel talks about how she landed that contract, and it turns out that it's not exactly what you thought it would be or what she thought it would be as well. That is powered by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. Speaking of sponsors that are absolutely key, RV service and repairs, they are ICBC accredited. Check, check, check. And they're also, not this an aside because it's not at all, but they're also 9-year sponsor. They're getting into their 10th year in 2026. It blows my mind. The support from Tamara and her team. So find them online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what else? Tedco RV Supplies. First, our first guest of 3 for this week are musical guests. So we started the year with Shab. Shab was a guest. Then a couple of the guys from Salvador Dream jumped on a Zoom with us as well. But I wanted to start things off audio-wise with a band called Broken Love. We had their singer Justin Benlolo on, a guest in, I think it was early March. And so if you were to ask me what was, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, what's the name of the best rock band or hard rock band in Canada, I would say no question, and I would tell you it's Broken Love. So these guys are from Toronto, and Justin's story is awesome. He quit school at 16. No doubt his parents were not super happy about that, I would guess. He's pursuing his passion, of course, music. So he eventually moves to New York City in 2014. Then he goes to LA, carves out the start of his career there, meeting people and, writing songs and that sort of thing. Believe me, if you give Broken Love some of your time, you're going to hear influences from bands like Royal Blood, Michael Jackson even in Justin's singing. If you know a band called Highly Suspect, there's a lot of that as well. So check out what he was saying was the music in his life as a kid growing up.
So growing up, my parents, they loved my dad's a really big disco and funk guy. So it was a lot of Casey and the Sunshine Band and Bee Gees. My dad loves Earth, Wind and Fire. He used to listen to Chicago a lot, tons of Michael Jackson.
ABBA?
ABBA-ish. I mean, that was bar mitzvah music, I go to all those and we would listen to Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My mom really loved George Michael and Wham a lot. It's her favorite. So I listened to a lot of George Michael growing up as well. But my uncle Cy was the rock guy. So he was the one that showed me Led Zeppelin and showed me Kiss and,
Love that. He goes, well, that was bar mitzvah music, Dancing Queen, Mamma Mia, ABBA. I could see that. I could hear that. Justin talked about the music industry a fair amount as well when we talked. And what's the hardest thing about being in a band right now, trying to make it? Suddenly all of these expectations. You've got to be the band, of course, but good players, good songwriters. Oh, but also hold up. You need to be kind of a decent videographer. You've got to be pretty decent at social media and content creation. And when do you schedule things and that sort of thing, right? I mean, it's for up and coming bands, it really is a bit of a mind fuck, I don't see, Linkin Park or, Dave Grohl's not going to be jumping on and making a post and he's not, doing a selfie and all that shit. But that's the expectation of up and coming bands. Broken Love's new album, by the way, their third is called The Program. That came out in March, and you're not going to believe. Listen to how long they had that completed before they released it.
Oh my God. I mean, it's been forever. It's let's see. I think it's been done for about a year and a half, I want to say, which is not uncommon,
No, it's not. But as fans, that's crazy to think, right?
Well, before I started doing this, I guess professionally, I was under the impression that bands just made records and then put them out within 2 or 3 months and it's still fresh. Little did I know that most bands are usually working on their next record by the time they're the record they had recorded is coming out. I don't know how to word it the right way, but
no, I know what you mean. That's what we think as fans. We think it's Broken Love. They banged out this album. They're ready to release, and it's within a couple of months, and it's what we hear. It's a year and a bit. That's mind blowing, bro.
I mean, by the fuck, man. I mean, I could swear, right? Can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. Just need to make sure I dropped an accidental fuck. Okay. When I think about it, I recorded this record when I was 25 and I'm 27. It just happened to be in the time where, it was my birthday when we had made the record or something. I was either 25 or 26, whatever it was I was much younger. Now I'm looking at the time and I'm holy fuck, I'm almost 30 and my album still hasn't come out,
That's crazy, right? Because now these songs are almost old for you. Of course, they're going to be all brand new for your fans, right?
I'm already over them. That's how I think it generally goes. By the time your record comes out, you've listened to it ad nauseum. Also between the, you're doing the sequencing and you're picking the singles and you're picking which ones you're going to cut and which ones you're going to keep. And then you're listening to mixes and then the masters comes in. You get hammered over the head with these songs so much that by the time the record comes out, I've listened to the album 200 times probably at this point.
Wow.
I mean, of course, I still love it. And
of course. Yeah.
I still listen to it a lot and it makes me really proud for sure. Because I feel my personal shit test is if I listen to my songs one time and I don't like it, then I'm okay, I got to change this up. But I need to make sure I love it every single time I hear it. And I think that's important. I don't want to be the guy that hates his own music or is doing this for somebody else. I want to be really proud of it and feel really good about it all the time. So I'm constantly like reminding myself, okay, let's listen to the album, or listen to something that's new and cool, and I'll be like, oh, how does it stand up next to my stuff?
100%. He says, I was under the impression the band just like made records and put them out within 2-3 months and it's still fresh, right? Like sitting on something for almost a year is a mind blower, but I think that most people wouldn't even expect that from bands. And that's the case for a lot of the time. As we always do, we went a little bit further than what Justin is known for. Music, of course. We got into, we did talk about touring with Mammoth WVH and seeing AC/DC in concert, but we talked about binge watching Shoresy and House. We talked about his life and other parts of that. It's on YouTube if you wanted to check it out. Got into Nickelback and Bon Jovi concerts. He shared a near-death gun story. I was actually going to share it here, but I wanted to play a different clip here in just a sec. But talked about playing hockey as a kid, being a fan of the UFC, who isn't, knowing that he's a concert or a comic book geek. We talked about Marvel and DC, and man, how I had to bring that up.
I'm a big Marvel guy. As far as DC goes, like I love Batman, but most of the DC superheroes never really spoke to me. Like I find Superman just like too overpowered.
Well, it's just too much, dude. You can fucking laser vision. You can see through shit. You can fly around the world like at lightning speed. It's too much.
Marvel has always been my thing. Like I'm a huge Spider-Man guy. Like I have they've been putting out a bunch of Spider-Man games in the past couple of years too. Like all the Sony games have been awesome. I love Wolverine,
Yeah.
I love the Hulk. I love Iron Man. Like I grew up on this shit too. So it's like I had comic books growing up and I played all their video games. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many like Halloweens I've dressed up as Spider-Man, or like we used to have those little squirter things, like the wrist shooter shit, and my poor parents, I used to like shoot our trees outside growing up, and my dad would have to, clean all the gunk out of the trees. But
it's so good.
I mean, man, I rewatched all the Marvel movies like maybe last summer or something. I just did it in order, but
I did that with my kids too. What's the best one? Like I think once the Jon Favreau put out the Iron Man, like it was like, okay, you have to hit it here, otherwise don't make a movie, right? Like
I think the best one to me is my favorite might be Captain America Civil War. Was fucking awesome.
So good.
That's a wicked one. As far as the new phase, like, what's going on now, I've become a little less interested because all like the heavy hitters aren't really around anymore. So that kind of sucks because like I miss Captain America. I miss Iron Man, I had to see the new Captain America about like 2 months before it came out, but then I ended up going on a vacation last minute. So I didn't get to actually see it, but I've been meaning to see it. But like I said, I'm a huge superhero guy.
Yeah, I can feel that. He goes, most of the DC superheroes never really spoke to me. I find Superman just like, too overpowered, of course. Great to have Broken Love singer Justin on as a guest this year. Now, I wanted to play you some highlights from our interview with Wide Mouth Mason singer Shaun Verreault. He was a guest in early April. We go way back, late 90s for sure. He's a good dude, a solid performer, of course. He's played a few Toddcast live shows over the years. So here's a band that was inducted into the Western Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 2024. A well-deserved, probably past their due. They probably should have been sooner. But, again, here's a band I've known since about the mid-90s. Midnight Rain and My Old Self were big radio hits. And as a radio guy, I played the hell out of those songs on the Max FM 94 for sure up in Prince George, and even a little bit here in Vancouver on CFOX. Their sound, of course, you'd know them as being unmistakable. Blues and rock. There's funk as well. Everybody in the band, killer musicians. And they've shared the stage with some of the biggest. AC/DC, the Rolling Stones. They did a big tour with the ZZ Top. So was it a natural thing then, like this music career for Shaun? Listen to Shaun talk about his dad, who was a chef, and his eventual steps down the music path.
It's an interesting one. I was born when they were teenagers, not married, had just been dating for a while, and I was a bit of a surprise. Okay. And my dad had just recently graduated from like chef training in Saskatoon. So he, before I was born, had moved to Alberta where, you're a young chef. It's like being a young band. You got to do the gigs for exposure. So he was in Tabor, Alberta, and I was living with my mom and her widowed mom and her 6 siblings in Saskatoon, as the baby, just surrounded by this family. So eventually, it got to a point where he came back, they got together, and we moved around as his chef career started moving. We'd live in like Alberta for a year, BC for a year, Humboldt, Saskatchewan for a year. And we really moved around a lot, which I don't remember it being traumatic. Like, I don't remember I have to say goodbye to all my friends I made this year and we're moving to another place. So I think that mentality probably helped when we started going on the road all the time, and helped. I can walk into a room where I don't know anybody, and for some people that's a really terrifying thing. For me, it's just an opportunity to meet a bunch of people I don't know. So I think that informed that, and it was a lot of just my mom and I. And then we moved back to Saskatoon, where a lot of my family was, and that was where I met, Saf. That was where I met lots of people who are my friends to this day, and we kind of put roots down a little bit more. And then, when I was 10, there was a music store that had, you can try out guitar for 8 weeks thing, which I think my parents liked the idea of, because they'd heard of other kids that their family saved up and bought a piano, and the kid played it for a bit and then hated piano and never played it. Right. So this place would loan you a guitar for 8 weeks, and then if you were into it, you could either buy that guitar or buy another one after. And that was when that, the home with the flu day and discovering guitar, and then discovering Prince, and then that led me down to where someone gave us a tape, gave my cousin and I a tape. I think it was a neighbor that had Hendrix live at the BBC on one side and John Lee Hooker on the other side. And both of them, against a backdrop of like Madonna and shiny 80s pop music, just were terrifying. They were like, this is the rawest, noisiest, dangerous sounding, but little by little that seeped in, and that was all I wanted to know and hear for a while. So along with the Steve Vais and the Joe Satrianis and the really technically amazing guitar playing that was happening in the 80s, eventually I think one of the biggest gateway drugs was Stevie Ray Vaughan came into my consciousness, and he was such a he would turn you on to, if you like me, that's great. Almost like Billy Strings is now for bluegrass for kids. If you like me, that's great. I'm happy. You should also check out everyone who came before me in the, in the pre-YouTube days of it not just being presented to you. So Stevie would be like, I rip off most of my stuff from Albert King, but I love BB and Freddie, and you got to check out T-Bone Walker, so that just led me to discovering all of that music. And at that time, I met Saf, who was another only kid who had a drum kit in his basement, and we first got together on pots and pans in my parents' house, me on acoustic and he just playing whatever. And then his parents bought him this, I think a Rush fan retired or died. And he had this fucking massive kit that took up a whole basement with a gong behind him and rototoms and stuff. And Saf's parents, wanting to support him, bought this kit. And so we'd go over to his house, and he would be behind this massive cockpit of just all kinds of drums, really only knowing how to do rolls on the snare. And we just kind of played it out and started to discover what it is to play with someone else, what it is to write music, all of those things together.
Yeah, and I get that. He goes, we really moved around a lot, which I don't remember it being traumatic. I feel this the same way, in a big way. Moved from Surrey to Kitimat about halfway through grade 3. Then halfway through grade 5, we moved up to Terrace. Halfway through grade 9, moved to the Okanagan to Summerland. So I kind of did the same thing as a kid, just popping around BC, different places, but getting into all sorts of things with Shaun as well. We talked about the local Vancouver scene and Mother specifically, and how they took advantage of social media, and they blew up the band because of their TikTok, the song that was played all over TikTok. The Canucks came up, the NHL trade deadline. We talked about Canadian patriotism. Both of Shaun's parents recently passed away. He brought that up. And we talked about going to concerts with them? Like, did that happen all the time, or was it very often, or?
Not really. I kind of discovered it myself. And in Saskatoon back then, there weren't a lot of concerts. Like now, it often gets skipped over. First concert I saw was In Excess on the Kick Tour with Steel Pulse, the reggae band. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Opening. And that spun my head completely. But
dude, I saw In Excess at Disneyland of all places. You know, sometimes like there'll be a band that's kind of playing randomly in Disneyland, right? And it was In Excess. And I think it was for the Kick tour.
Wow, what a gig!
Back in like the mid to later 80s. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I mean, and those were arena shows, which, you know, the ZZ Top and AC/DC and Stones shows in arenas and stadiums made clear that it's a totally different game with different things required to play a room like this, where many of my formative musical experiences were in clubs where local heroes, like a just devastatingly good guitar player named Jack Semple would play and sing, or Big Dave McLean, who's an Order of Canada winning blues musician and like the muddy waters of Western Canada. Seeing that close up was what made it feel more doable for me. Seeing someone in an arena was like, well, that's a million miles away. And, you know, in Saskatoon, Joni Mitchell and kind of the Northern Pikes were the only people we were aware of who'd been able to go do it. So it just was, as an only child, it was a thing that I could do all the time and discover parts about myself and discover creativity and to play a bad day out into, to celebrate a good day on. So it was almost like a yoga practice more than a career aspiration, until we started doing these gigs and people started packing out the place and record companies started showing up. And then it was like, well, maybe we can make a go of this.
I guess like many musicians, he goes, I kind of discovered it myself, music, right? And in Saskatoon, he says back then, there just weren't a lot of concerts. Like now, it just kind of gets skipped over. We talked about COVID with Shaun as well. We talked about Trump's tariffs, seeing INXS in concert, growing up to the Beatles, Steve Miller, and Air Supply. The story of Big Sugar, how they played a big part in his band's success, and the tenacity of his manager at the time, and the live show just blowing Gordie Johnson, the singer of Big Sugar, blowing Gordie's mind, and took him out on the road after that. And Prince. Yes, we talked about Prince.
And I was right at the, probably too young for some of the subject matter, but as a young guitar player, I remember I did Darling Nikki at the first Toddcast live podcast hang we did.
That's right. You did Darling Nikki, yeah.
And he just, the imagination and the fact that it was its own universe. Like he looked different every record. He played different guitars for every record. And he was really eclectic. It's like, what style of music is he? Well, he's Prince. So there's rock all over and the map.
And he's got a female drummer. And it's just, he's just stood out among the rest, and rightfully so, right? Like, so do you remember where you were when you heard that he passed?
I do, yeah. I was, I'd played the night before, and he died early enough in the morning that I woke up to my phone just blowing up. Everyone knows what a massive Prince fan I am. So that morning I woke up I saw messages before I saw the news of, my wife and friends going, "I'm so sorry. I know how much he meant to you." And it was devastating just to think of the work that wouldn't happen as a result of him dying, because he was so prodigious, and where a lot of people at that point in their careers fall into kind of greatest hits or okay, here's what the live shows are going to be like forever now. Mm-hmm. He had just done the solo piano tour, which he'd never done before. The tour before that was the last time I saw him, where he did the Third Eye Girl trip with the three-piece band, and him. That was the most guitar playing, the most Hendrixy he'd ever been in his life. So I feel, ripped off that we don't get to see what else he would have done. But in the wake of it, because he was so controlling about any videos of him or any music coming out, all these performances that I'd never seen before, either the estate or the people who had made them, knowing that he wouldn't be coming after them to pull it down, started putting out so many performances that I'm still finding stuff I hadn't seen and introducing my daughter to it. And what a genius and what a life's work, and so inspiring to me.
Yeah, because you're right. He continually pushed himself throughout his whole career, right till his death.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that he's also written a ton of great songs for other people.
Right.
Like, it's not just his body of work. He's just a master, period. Yeah.
It was just, sleeping 3 hours a night and being in the studio anytime he wasn't on stage. It's really a model for, and I have other things in my life that keep me from doing that. But the idea of living out on the edge of your capabilities all the time, rather than rolling softly into the middle where everything is easy. I've always wanted to push myself musically and as a singer and as a player, and branching out into different instruments. I mean, I'll never match his list of any instrument he could sit down on if he showed up and a band was playing and just crush on it. But I'm expanding out into other stuff beyond guitar and find it super inspiring.
Love that meticulous articulation. He goes, he had the imagination, the fact that it was his own universe. He looked different every record. He played different guitars for every record. Don't you just love how much Shaun Verreault loves Prince? So in mid-May, we had on multiple Juno Award winner Kenny Cook, the singer of Ancients. Without question, of course, we know this, one of Canada's best metal bands, period. They're from Vancouver. They formed in 2011. So it's Kenny, it's Mike, it's Brock, it's Rory. Again, multiple Juno Award winners. And when Kenny jumped a Zoom with us, they'd literally, like night before, 2 days before, they'd just won their second Juno.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy weekend last weekend for sure. A totally unexpected event occurred. None of us going into it were, first of all, expecting the nomination, but to win it, it was something special. We didn't think we had a shot in hell given the competition. So we're all just kind of still in shock.
And that's fair enough to say. He goes, I don't think we had a shot in hell given the competition. I think was Kenny more than anything was just surprised with the win because of nominees this year like Devin Townsend, Spirit Box. It's impressive. But I think if you were to talk to, a metal fan, Ancients would be among their favorite bands. I mean, the albums are top notch. Heart of Oak, 2013 was so good. Voice of the Void, 2016, so good. Their latest, 8 years later, 2024, Beyond the Reach of the Sun, impeccable. Kenny used to be in a band called Spread Eagle. So what was it like, the learning curve, right? Playing guitar in Spread Eagle to now fronting Ancients.
I don't know. It was just kind of thrown into the deep end kind of thing. Yeah, it was basically that. And the toughest thing was the whole singing part, because I had never really sang much before, and learning how to do the growls and stuff like that. That kind of was the hardest part to overcome, especially, the confidence and nerves part of it. But as far as the structure of a band, we already had that commitment just carried over from Spread Eagle. So we're basically still in the routine. It was kind of militant. We didn't really think twice about practicing 2 to 3 times a week. That's just kind of what we were doing, right? So all of that kind of just transferred into this new project, and we just shifted gears and focused on something different.
Too true, right? He goes, it's just kind of like thrown into the deep end, and sometimes that's the best way to do something, right? Sink or swim. You'll know whether or not you could do it right away. And he also talked about what it was like growing up in Mission. Talked about touring Europe, being compared to Mastodon, how old he was when he started getting serious about playing music, as a lifetime career. We talked about other things as well, like binging Breaking Bad. We talked about family life and family, moving up to the Okanagan and what kind of like spurred that on. He talked about listening to Miles Davis, seeing Gob in concert. Ovechkin, right around that point when we talked, Ovechkin was real close to breaking Gretzky's scoring record. So we talked about that. Canucks hockey and what it feels like being knocked out of playoff contention, which sucks. And career highlights. Can Kenny nail it down to just one thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not something I have really reflected on. It's like shit just kind of goes flying by. Like, we got some pretty crazy opportunities early on. Like we got to tour with that Lamb of God band. And that was like on 5 days notice. Like we had just we went on our very first tour with Death to All. So it's like the members of Death with a new singer. Obviously Chuck passed away, but so that was our very first tour. Like when Heart of Oak the day it came out was the first day of that tour. And like Spread Eagle, we had done regional kind of BC, Alberta tours, but this was kind of like thrown into the deep end. So we had got that tour and like we weren't making fucking really any money. So it was a strenuous tour with a lot of learning. But then we got back and we were supposed to go like across Canada with a band called Skeleton Witch like a week later. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like, we're going to be busted after this. And then, we got the call like 5 days notice. Yeah, Lamb of God asked if you want to go on a tour. And it starts in 5 days in fucking Chattanooga. So we literally just jumped in the van and beeline. So that was like a real game changer for us because like I wasn't too huge into the whole like American metal scene, so I wasn't like a massive fan of Lamb of God at the time. I didn't know like how big they actually were. So when I got to the first show and seeing the crowd, I was like, holy shit, like it was a real game changer for me and the rest of the guys, because it was something we had never experienced being like live or being a part of in that sense, right? Like if people were just going wild. So,
and are you like backstage and stuff with the guys, hanging out with Randy and the rest of the band?
Yeah, like it was Randy's first tour back from all that Czech Republic nonsense that happened. Yeah, so he was kind of kept to himself, but we did party quite a bit with the other fellas in the band.
Subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify at Toddcast Podcast.
Warm cotton skies till you open up your eyes. The words you speak are so unkind. Feel the cold air in your mind. Hate but not to hurt. I don't know what's worse. Sink your teeth into my skin. Drain the venom from within. Your skin like a snake, I caught you slithering. A night you're awake, yeah, you lay quivering. He made a mistake, and that's your greatest claim. You pick out your prey, hope for a slow decay.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
You'll likely best know Sangeeta Patel from hosting HGTV's Home to Win, a familiar face on ET Canada as well. So it was in 2014 that she was named one of Hello Canada's 50 most beautiful people, a tip of the hat to talent and presence. What's interesting is that Sangeeta actually earned a degree in electrical engineering back in 2002, which of course is a far cry from the broadcasting world where she's made her mark. If you're thinking about a career in media, this chat is definitely worth your time. Her first job was on the Weather Network. She gave the rundown on how she made the jump to HGTV. And Sangeeta talked about ET Canada, how that job was supposed to be just a 6-month contract. Listen to this.
I was actually just supposed to be here for 6 months, covering for Cheryl Hickey while she was on mat leave.
Okay.
But they kept me. And
nice.
and so and then I wanted to explore more, and I became the host of Home to Win, which is such a spectacular show. It was a great fit.
Mm-hmm. Don't just brush past the whole, I got to ET Canada. How did you get there? Like, what were the steps for you to get to, it's one of the prestigious, hosting jobs in the country.
It's so interesting that how it all happened. I found out that she was going on mat leave, and I thought, you know what? Let me email the boss at ET Canada, see if they're looking for someone to fill in for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I was ready to make a change. I have this thing that I have every 3 years, I have an itch of trying something new and different. It was a big risk, taking a job and leaving City TV where things were just, I had an establishment there. But it was for 6 months, and I'm like, it's Entertainment Tonight Canada. It can't get bigger than that in entertainment. And I think I came into the audition where I didn't get the script in time. It was in my junk mail, and I got here, and I'm like, okay, I'm screwed. Whatever, let's just do this. And I did the audition with a lot of just being happy and not having that pressure on me. Mm-hmm. And things worked out, and I think that was a blessing on my side. But the one thing I always keep is be as organic as possible, and I think that kind of really sold it.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
get involved with others, no. And if you take me for granted, don't be surprised if I don't stay. If you don't reach out to stop me, you'll see me walk away. I'll leave you
There's Spendo, and a great song for those guys, probably one of my favorites. It's called Fighter, and on Saturday, we're doing a show on a Saturday night. Normally we do Friday nights, but on Saturday, January 31st, they're playing another Toddcast Blue Light Sessions. This time they're doing 2 sets. We don't have an opener for this one because they want to bang out a couple. We've got something special in mind for the night. So grab a ticket right now so to make sure to get in, because we only let in 60 people. Like, this is not a tough sell for a band like Spendo. They, of course, will sell out the Wise Hall, which is a few hundred people. So grab tickets. I think there's still some tickets left right now. For $22 advanced through eventbrite.ca. Eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca. Last time, I'm not even kidding, their drummer went into anaphylactic shock, like literally minutes before we were supposed to start the show. So he's off in an ambulance, and then literally like somebody from the crowd, thankfully, knew the music well enough. Like, it was a buddy, I guess, that they'd kind of like, they've did a little bit of jam with, you know, maybe at a jam rehearsal or whatever. So he just grabbed a djembe and kind of played along, which was, I mean, if you were at that show, you probably thought like, oh, they had that planned. No, they didn't have that planned. Like, literally, Buddy was just in the audience. Anyway, played you Kara Bateman and what could be 2025's Indie Song of the Year. Great song for Kara called Cotton Skies. All right, so coming up shortly, and stop me if you've heard this before, Mother Mother. We talked about Mother Mother and Shaun Verreault mentioning how, you know, their band blew up because of TikTok. Well, this is the actual story from Mother Mother, how social media affected their band in the best possible way. That is powered by the Home Dwell Group. One of their partners, Kyle, I've known literally since grade 6, elementary school buddies, and we still hang out today to this day. He's been designing homes in Vancouver and buildings that you might know around town, and he's now buying and selling homes as well. So if you're looking for a place and you got to like, I got to fix a few things up, first off, he'll know whether it's worth fixing up or not. That's key. So if you're buying a home or you're selling your house, contact Kyle, because he is what it is all about through homedwell.ca. Kyle through homedwell.ca. Literally, the dude's been doing this industry since we graduated high school. First, let's get to more guests and our sporting guests in this year in review. So the start of the year, weight loss coach Molly McKennedy joined us. Then from there, we had on Canucks Army writer and editor David Quadrelli, both worth checking out through our YouTube page. But I want to focus right now in late March. We had on Canucks anthem singer, and of course she does other stuff as well, the Vancouver Whitecaps. But we had on singer Elizabeth Irving, an award-winning singer-songwriter. She's from New Westminster. Started singing the anthem for the Canucks games at just 10 years old. Just 10 years old. If you watch the games, Elizabeth is part of your life, right? She's at the start of every home game for the Vancouver Canucks. Her performance have becomes kind of synonymous with being at the game. It's no surprise. It's a no-brainer that music is a huge part of her life. It always has been.
A little bit of everything. Yeah, I think it kind of depended on who was home and who was listening. If my brothers were there, then it was more of the pop, the hip hop, the kind of hockey type music that they play.
Yeah.
If it was my dad, it was definitely some oldies, which was great because then that kind of gave me that taste of music that wasn't from my generation. If it was my mom, she was kind of a bit of everything. She really just loved any music. I think that's like a mom. They kind of just love everything. And then if it was me at that age, I was listening to Disney and musical theater tracks, Kids Bop and all of that.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we can kind of all agree with that. I think it's kind of depending on who was at home and who was listening to the music that was heard around the house. And cool to get into other parts of her life as well. Like Elizabeth talked about admiring Lady Gaga and Adele, Ella Fitzgerald and Taylor Swift. We talked about hating to lose to teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs. That sucks in a huge way. We talked a fair amount about family life as well. Her love of Disney came up. We talked about binge watching Grey's Anatomy, and she's a big fan of true crime docs. And, you know, more and more that I do this podcast and ask this question of people, the more that there's a lot of people that love true crime docs. And what is Elizabeth's earliest memory of the Vancouver Canucks?
Earliest memory would probably be, honestly, just sitting in front of the TV. My brothers would always put on their Canucks jerseys for the games. That was kind of a big thing. You know, we wouldn't necessarily always be in person at the games, but we tried to kind of make that home environment as game-like as possible. So everyone would be wearing a jersey. I had a pink one, of course. Mm-hmm. And we would just sit around with those pop-up tables, you know, the ones that you kind of pop up and have your dinner there and on a tray.
Yeah.
And we just sit in my living room and watch hockey together.
Sounds vaguely familiar to this house.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. We do.
I love it. Hey, I think that's a sign of a great household.
Yeah. I mean, we all gather around, watch the boys. Like, it's so good, right?
That's awesome.
Start them young, right? She goes, just sit in front of the TV. My brothers would always put on their Canucks jerseys for the game. And it was a big thing and big time, right? We do the same thing for the most part at my house. Slap on the jerseys and cheer on the boys. And of course, Elizabeth is more than an anthem singer. She's sang on stage, in bands. You need to check out her Instagram account. She posts absolutely wild, like incredible videos. She did a podcast show for us recently as well with Jade Monet, which is freaking outstanding. So check out some of the videos through the Toddcast YouTube page. We quickly talked about the booing of the U.S. national anthem, how Trump and his tariffs were probably helping things out at that point. She talked about seeing Backstreet Boys in concert. She shared a near-death driving story as well. And quickly back to the binge watching. You know what? Let me play that for you right now.
I mean, I've watched Grey's Anatomy probably 3 times. And for Grey's Anatomy fans, you know that that's a lot of Grey's Anatomy. I think they have 18 seasons now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so lots of Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm. I also love the kind of murder crime documentaries that you can watch. So I just watched one about Gabby Petito.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix. It sounds weird when I say I love those kinds of shows. I don't love what happened, but how they...
But it's so, like, how can you not get pulled into those styles of shows, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you understand, because some people are like, ooh.
Oh, no, believe me, I'm the same.
Okay, good.
Like that Jeffrey Dahmer one they did on Netflix a year back or whatever. Like, it was so just engrossing, engaging. I couldn't stop watching. Just so sick.
I think because it just feels... It teeters on the line of this is so outlandish, but this is reality. And it's just that kind of unnerving feeling of the two. And you're kind of like, whoa, this could happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the true stories, like, holy. And like the only way that one person got busted was because of his footprint in the dirt. Like, what?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it's crazy. Well, even the Gabby Petito one I just watched, how social media basically was one of the main contributing factors of how they figured this murder out.
Right.
Which was really cool. People were like, he was in the back of my video, or he was this or that. And I was like, they would have never, ever found her.
70s, 80s, like, no chance.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of crazy. So yeah, those kinds of things. The Bachelor.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
Yeah, I watched The Bachelor. Lots of hockey. Actually, a really good series that's hockey related was... I think it was called Face Off. It covered all of the teams that were going to the playoffs.
So good.
That was a really good one. I enjoyed that one. I felt like it went past these are amazing athletes and they need to be so good, and actually kind of went past that wall and showed that they're human and that they have lives and families. And I really liked that. I loved it.
It's so true, right? She goes, it sounds weird when I say I love those kinds of shows. I don't love what happened. The crime documentaries, and hilarious. Lots of Grey's Anatomy, like 3 times through. Damn. Now, I wanted to take you to our interview with Vancouver Whitecaps CEO and sporting director Axel Schuster. He was a guest in early May. So here's a club, if you followed at all, the MLS iteration of the team goes back to 2009, established then. Major League play started in 2011. The league's 17th team, right? So BC Place, of course, is home turf. 27,000 people can come to the games and watch. And if you don't keep up with the team, they had an absolutely stellar year, absolute tear. At the time of doing this podcast, first in the Western Conference, they were absolutely killing and destroying, dismantling everybody. A key reason for that, let's go back to CEO Axel Schuster. He's been with the club since 2019, coming over from Germany, where he worked for a couple of decades. The kid has been in it to win it for decades with teams over there. Axel's currently on a 4-year contract extension that goes through to the end of next season. So it's not like we don't worry about it. You know, where you're like, hold up, we're going to have a great year and then suddenly we lose our CEO. No, that's not happening. We got him till the end of next year, and I'm sure they'll probably put a clause in, or if they don't already, they'll probably sign him back on again because he's outstanding. But expect him to stick around right after this. He talks about that actually in the full interview through our YouTube channel. He talks about the future plans of the club. He plans to stay in Vancouver as well, he says. So what is a guy like this, like honestly a stud in the world of soccer? What is his first, can he remember, what is his first soccer memory?
Oh, that's pretty easy because I really remember that. And it's funny because it's it's the 1982 World Cup, the semifinal between Germany and France, in that Germany was 3-1 down in the overtime and came back and scored the 3-3, and then we had this crazy penalty shootout. So I know that the whole family was watching that, and was one of the probably most crazy games in the German World Cup history. So I really remember that I felt this passion, and everyone was in front of the screen and they couldn't believe how this game was going. And that's definitely something that I know still where we have been, where the TV was standing and how the people were around this TV. And that's my first remembrance.
Yeah. And what's cool, Axel, is that, you know, your club's giving that to local kids here in the Lower Mainland. You know, the first thing they'll remember about soccer is probably something with your club.
Yeah, you know, this is the one thing that I always try to also get into the minds and into the day work of our people in the club. I come from a background where clubs are way more than just a soccer franchise, and I think the Vancouver Whitecaps are way more than a soccer franchise. We are a community club, and a community club means that we have a huge responsibility also. And so you sometimes look at the teams at the top of the pyramid and you think like, wow, they are in the best spot ever. But that also means you have a lot of responsibility for the game, for the young kids, because you are their role model, that you are the club that they are looking at first. So if you want this sport to grow in this country, in your city, if you want to do the right things to engage more kids and people in the sport, what in the long term will benefit you again at the top, you have to do also a lot of the things in your community, right? And that's also what we try to do. And it's not about doing it for marketing and posting it every week. It's about doing it with the conviction that this will be the only thing that can help your club in the long term to grow and to be successful.
So good. He goes, I know that the whole family was watching that, and it was one of the probably most crazy games in German World Cup history. You know, moments like that, you just don't forget them, right? You know, Axel's work speaks for itself. The Whitecaps have won the Canadian Championship 4 times, 2015, 2022, 2023, 2024. It's looking like it's going to be again. Super cool to talk with a CEO and sporting director for a pro soccer club. So how did he get the job?
Long story short, I was approached by a headhunter for the sporting director job. And I took over in November 2019. And then during COVID, the club was streamlining processes and also we went through a big challenge. We couldn't play at home for 1.5 years. Everyone knows this. And at that time, the business side obviously got a little bit cut down. And the club asked me if I can take over both roles, because at that time there was only more or less a sporting side. And obviously somebody thought that it's going right and successful. And so we stick with the combination of having both titles, being responsible for the business side, that's the CEO title, and being responsible for the sporting side as a sporting director. But I have to say, and this is very important at this point already, to mention that, is that I wouldn't be able to do this if I would not have excellent other leaders that are working with me together and who are my direct reports, who are doing a lot of the day-to-day work in both areas.
Seems simple enough, right? The club asked me if I could take over both roles. You know, being responsible for the business and sporting side, Axel is a huge part of the equation, and what a year the Whitecaps have had. And great to get outside of what he's known for as well, right? Talking about family life and walking the seawall in Stanley Park and kind of recharging the batteries through his family, which, I mean, I think everybody does. He talked about seeing his first concert in Germany, the music in his life back then and in today's reality. In terms of the sport itself, the biggest differences of working soccer here in Canada versus Europe, what he responds with is pretty funny. You know, the Whitecaps are lucky to have Axel leading the way, right? I mean, we truly are. You'll love hearing him talk about the COVID years, his proud club moments, talked about managing fan base expectations, the biggest challenges of the job. And can he choose a career highlight?
Yeah, honestly, everyone knows or does know, so I'm happy to tell the story that I started all of this in Mainz. We were like a bottom second tier club. A club that was happy to avoid relegation to the third tier every year. And so, of course, the one big highlight was when we really promoted to the Bundesliga with Jürgen Klopp at that time. And not that it came completely out of the nowhere, because we transitioned this club from a bottom 5 club to a top 5 club almost in 1 year. But we failed to get promoted before. So it wasn't maybe totally a surprise, but it was still the biggest thing that happened to this club. And I'm still also a little bit proud of that I was part of this, because this club is a Bundesliga club still today. And we have built there also in a sustainable way. We had to go through some up and downs, and actually we got relegated once from the Bundesliga again and promoted back. But now this club is consistently playing in the Bundesliga, and the first promotion is still the thing that everyone remembers in the city, because that was the game changer for the club, and the club wouldn't be there where it is today.
No doubt I would have been blown away had he said anything but that. He goes, we transitioned this club from a bottom 5 club to a top 5 club almost in 1 year. Simply put, Axel is a freaking beast, which transitions nicely to a world-renowned fitness expert, IFBB Pro National Champion Alicia Bell. So this was Alicia's second time on the Toddcast. Mid-May, this time around, kinesiologist, personal trainer, online coach, track and field coach, a well-known YouTuber, 3-time fitness cover model. Been there, done that, I guess you could say. And she's very cool as well. So Alicia currently lives in Toronto, but talked about growing up and living with her grandparents.
I always loved all sports, and growing up, I grew up with my grandparents. And so every Sunday we watched football, and my family was Pittsburgh fans. And I was like, nope, Ravens. I got to do the opposite, because I need to, do the opposite of everybody else. And then we are closest to Montreal in New Brunswick. So everyone cheered for the Habs versus the Leafs.
Oh, okay.
So growing up, I was a Habs fan, but
right. And how about present day? Do you give a shit about NHL and all that, or no?
I lived in Ottawa, when the Sens were in the playoffs, and I was a Sens fan because they're
making it again this year. They're in this year. It's got announced.
And then I was friends with Ray Emery when I lived in Ottawa, so I had to cheer for Ottawa. And then I moved to Vancouver, and Vancouver was in Stanley Cup playoffs when I lived in Vancouver against Boston, and they lost, and there was a huge riot. and I was a Vancouver fan. But then when I moved to Toronto, the Leafs suck. So I've been to a Leafs game.
You know that's the clip I'm using. Like when
that's fine.
Like, those suck.
And
like,
what's worse is that
it's something about that team. Like they do okay in the regular season, and then they shit the bed every single playoffs. Like, guys, get your.
And I live really close to their practice arena, and then when they do their outdoor rink like practice, I can see it from my balcony. Like I watched it from my balcony this year, and I was like, and even my ex-boyfriend's brother is the Leafs alumni, Mark Fraser, and he was there. And so I texted Curtis and I was like, I heard your brother's name from my house.
Love that. Every Sunday we watch football, and my family was into Pittsburgh. They were fans. And I was like, nope, Ravens. I got to do the opposite. Too funny. Family rivalry. I like that. Hearing Alicia talk about NFL and Montreal Canadiens games with her grandparents. She talked about growing up around country music. We talked about school sports days, if you remember those, before the participation ribbons, when it actually meant something to win something. Seeing Great Big Sea in concert, she touched on meal planning and metabolism, and getting into the importance of discipline, self-motivation, and how she's always kind of excelled at sports.
Honestly, I was like super athletic, like growing up, like very, very athletic. And in like elementary school, we had those like field days, track and field days. Like, so it was like,
yeah, like actual, like not the participation ribbons, but like, I got first place. I placed second. I placed third. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, sports days.
That's how it should be.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was running faster than everybody. And my grandmother was kind of like, oh, there must be more than these little field days. Like what else is there out there? So she literally found a track coach for me in like a neighboring town, because she was like, oh, my granddaughter's really talented. And she kind of was the reason why I started that. But I was good at like every sport. So not only track, like I played all sports, and that kind of started everything for me, because I was like, oh, I'm really talented at sports. And then I was like, I'm the worst loser in the entire world. I still am today. And when I was like growing up, I was always like looking for ways, like, how can I be better than somebody? How can I be faster? How can, like, what's the reason why I'm faster? What's the reason why I have a better like layup? Like, so I only was fitting that I went to university for kinesiology, because like that, I was like fascinated with like becoming better, because I want the advantage over everybody.
Like, no kidding. I'm the worst loser in the entire world, she says. I still am today. Fair enough though, right? Like, I hate losing. I've always told my kids, if you beat me at something, you've legitimately beat me at whatever it is. I will not let you win against me. So if you beat me, you beat me. We got into a lot of other things with Alicia as well. Talked about her dogs, meeting Shaq and Snoop Dogg, what Toronto's nightlife really is like, the build up to competition. She talked about trying out for the Amazing Race Canada. She even shared a near-death motorbike story.
Well, I ride a motorcycle every day in Toronto, so
that'll do it.
Like every time I take out my bike, I'm like, how am I gonna almost die today? And then when somebody does something stupid, they like always wave, and I'm like, that's okay, you almost killed me.
Yeah, totally fine, almost dead, but
yeah. Like the wave makes it better. You cut me off, and I almost died. I was cut off by like a cab driver and rode off my last motorcycle. It was like he tried to beat me. Like I was going through a green light, and he tried to beat me to make the turn, and I like smashed into him, and it like squished my bike, and I like flew over the cab driver, and I had like a backpack on, so I like slid, and then my hand got stuck in the streetcar track, and I had like 7 stitches in my hand, like messed up my knee and stuff. But I wouldn't say I was close to death there. That just was like a bad accident.
Just him being stupid.
I rode off my grandmother's car my first year university in the winter, and we went down over a hill and landed upside down because we slid on like ice and slush, because New Brunswick roads are crazy. But I didn't feel like I was gonna die then either.
You're just going through the Rolodex of like things I could have died, like
some crazy turbulence going from LA to Vegas once.
Yeah, I had some bad.
When your stomach is up in your throat, and you're like
Vancouver to Calgary. I saw somebody literally hit the top of the plane because they weren't strapped in.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, the turbulence is crazy. What else?
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca. And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Mother Mother goes back to 2005. Originally, you knew them as Mother. They changed their name, re-released Touch Up in 2007 with a few new tracks. Since then, they've been building the right way. One show at a time, one city at a time, loyal fans everywhere. Album after album, they've evolved, and they really have come into their own. And here's something cool. They've even played a few songs live in the Toddcast studio. So great to have Ryan and Molly on as guests. And stop me if you've heard this before. We talked about how social media has shaped the music industry and how bands can blow up having a viral TikTok song.
Well, we were sort of in the evolution of it, and there was a really awkward phase where you'd like bring your camera and you'd take pictures, and then you'd have to like upload the pictures onto your laptop at the hotel at the end of the night.
Right.
What's that medium?
MySpace? Yeah. So, right. But now it's like you have these phones, and it's so easy to disperse your content through all of the channels.
But it's also like a lot more demanding now because you have to do this constantly all the time. People expect this constant, dialogue from you. Whereas before you could just do little snippets.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the HomedWell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today.
Before the deal is done, know you might lose a few
cool song. That's Brass Camel, and their song is Borrowed Time. So they're playing a fundraiser at the Rickshaw Theatre in Vancouver next month on January 17th, them and a bunch of other bands. It's called Band Together. It's basically Vancouver bands that are performing the music of Pink Floyd, which is an interesting idea, interesting night, right? So it's Brass Camel, Antonio La Rosa, Spendo, and I think 2 or 3 other bands as well. If you grab a ticket, I'll probably see you there, because it sounds like I'm going to be emceeing the night, and I couldn't be happier doing it, knowing that the money, all of it is raised and going to the BC Children's Hospital Foundation, which is very cool. Played you Chase the Bear, and that was their excellent song called Demons. They're playing another podcast, Blue Light Sessions, in February. Tickets for all of our shows, by the way, through Eventbrite. Brite, eventbrite.ca. Okay, our final guests of this episode 380, this week's entertainment and lifestyle guests. So to start the year, dating coach Blaine Anderson was a guest. That was a great chat. Actresses Kayla Zander and Raquel Justice were guests as well in the first half of the year. In February, Twitch streamer Danielle DeNicola jumped to Zoom with us. Cosplay streaming has become massive. I mean, massive. Gaming, performance art, fandom, costumes, all of that stuff. People eating it up. On Twitch, YouTube, it's huge communities. You won't believe how big these are, and widely interactive as well. Like if you're doing it, some streamers are making big money through sponsorships, donation, and merch sales, that sort of thing. And Danielle's been doing this for a while now.
I want to say 5 or 6 years now. It's been a while.
And what do you think the hardest thing about being a streamer is?
For streaming, definitely the consistency of it. And for streaming, the ability to stream as often as possible, as long as possible, is really important. And the consistency of doing it multiple times. I used to do 3 times a week. Now I do 2 after moving. It's just been a lot to transition, but missing like a week to go on a trip or a weekend to do a convention or something is a huge hit, actually. So it takes a long time to recover from that, I would say.
It's crazy. So you're strategic. Like when you go and do like a Comic-Con or wherever you end up going, like you're strategic about what you do then.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like that's stuff that you would think like nobody, just kind of seeing you on social media and stuff, like nobody would ever think that. They would think, oh yeah, she hit the LA Comic-Con and had a good time or whatever. But like you literally take a hit not being on streaming.
Right? Like, I think it's something that most people don't think about, but she goes, for streaming, the ability to stream as often as possible, as long as possible, really is important. So you got a lot of friends like that, hey, that give you the nudge from time to time, the encouragement to really, truly push on and, get past your comfort zone. I love that in people. This podcast is actually a testament to that. Like when I lost my job doing the afternoon show at CFox in the summer of 2014, I had a few friends that were like, dude, like just get into podcasting. Like, why do you got to go back to radio? And I just never thought about it, right? Like getting out of radio's my comfort zone. It's what I knew how to do. And in fact, I'd go back today in a heartbeat. But like to get into podcasting and social media and doing live shows and all that stuff, right? Sales basically and sponsorship. It really is the way that you grow, right? I mean, I wouldn't have grown if I hadn't have done this. So is there any advice to share then, Danielle?
Yeah, I think, like I said about streaming, I think same with content creation, consistency is the most important thing. Posting like 3 or 4 times in a row and then being gone for a month and then doing it again will never equate to any growth. I think the most important thing that I tell people is to make sure that you can consistently do what you're doing. So don't try to burn yourself out all at once or make something huge and try to do like everything that you possibly can at one time. Pace yourself with like small stepping stones of growth, and it will give you way better results in the long run than the sprints.
Yeah, she goes, make sure you can do it consistently, whatever you're doing. So don't try to burn yourself out all at once. Yeah, pace yourself if you're doing it. It's not a sprint, it's not a sprint. It's a long way to the finish line. Got into other stuff about Danielle as well, like AC/DC, GNR, Kenny Chesney, seeing the Warp Tour. She talked about Teen Titans, traveling to London. Of course, we talked about the industry, the good, the bad, the weird things that she's seen at Comic-Cons. We talked about binging Silo on Apple TV, a deal that she worked out with Intel, her love of Dead Space, Spider-Man No Way Home. And who is the most famous person that she's met?
The most famous person that I've met, just in general?
Yeah.
Doing conventions, being in like the green room, you kind of get introduced, you cross paths with a vast array of people. And I would probably go with William Shatner. I don't know that he knows.
Please tell me it's fucking William Shatner.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably William Shatner, but I don't know that he would know me if I were to see him.
Like even just being in the presence, Sir William would be enough for me. Star Wars or Star Trek then?
I have never seen Star Trek, so I have to go with Star Wars by default. I know. Well, my parents like weren't nerds, so when I was growing up, I was never exposed to anything except for games. Like we had Xboxes and we would play Halo. But I didn't know anything about anything else. So it wasn't until I was, I don't know, in late high school, college age when I watched Star Wars for the first time.
Okay.
So I'm a late bloomer when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. She goes, being in the green room, you can get introduced, you cross paths with a vast array of people. And, you know, I know this from my time in radio, the green room, just being backstage, you never know who you're going to run into. So from a popular Twitch streamer to actress Brooke Butler, who you've heard on this podcast in early April. And you'll know Brooke from her roles in TV series and feature films like Ozark, The Resident, Animal Kingdom, Creepshow, Magnum P.I. She was in All Cheerleaders Die. She was voted one of Maxim's The Hot 10 Actresses. She went to this year's Sundance Film Festival as one of the stars of the 10 movies selected for competition, Sunfish and the Other Stories of on Green Lake. How cool is that, right? More on that in a sec. First, listen to Brooke talk about the shows early on in her life.
Oh, I love that question. So, I mean, how young do you want to start? My mom said I was the little kid that like 2, 3 years old. I was sitting there watching The Little Toaster and just crying my eyes out because the kitchen appliances couldn't find their way home. So, I started off as that little kid. I remember loving The Bodyguard and just falling in love with Kevin Costner as a kid, thinking he was so cool.
He's a great actor, hey?
One of like my dreams would be to like work with him. I don't know what it is. But I grew up with watching a lot of theater. My parents liked taking us to see the theater. So I remember seeing Phantom of the Opera and Miss Saigon and Les Mis, and my parents were like, oh, she's a little young to understand what's going on in Miss Saigon, but I was like, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, like, were your parents also kind of like the nerdy, like drama kids as well, or like what led them to that path?
My mom has like her master's in public health, and my dad was in the corporate world as well. So no, I don't know, but it was my grandma who wanted to be an actor. Her first kiss was Ronald Reagan on stage in Illinois.
Come on, serious?
Yeah, and so I have like all the photos from her yearbook of her and Ronald Reagan sitting on stage doing acting together. And so at the time, you know, for a woman, she had to become a mother and a wife, and that was that time. So I feel like part of me wants to finish it for her. So it's in my blood somewhere in there.
Love that. She goes, I remember just loving The Bodyguard and falling in love with Kevin Costner as a kid and thinking he was just so cool. I think everybody did. Brooke grew up just outside of Seattle, so kind of in our area as well. Of course, if Vancouver were American, we would be Seattle. Essentially, right? Loved working as a kid in the arts, as a young kid, acting and singing. Grew up in a sports household, though, right? Both her dad and brothers played baseball, so it was going to the Diamond, you know, every few days to kind of watch them play. She was also an athlete as well, Brooke was, and ultimately decided to, you know, instead of going pro in soccer, like that's how good she was, continuing down the artistic path. One that she actually started, she booked a role in a stage production of Les Mis at the age of 12, right? Performed at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe at 16, and from there it was just basically, let's freaking go. She talks about rejection as a performer, seeing Kenny Loggins and Annie Lennox in concert. What was it like going to USC?
Oh, yeah. Coming from a small town, I think my parents said, okay, if you want to do this acting thing, you have to get your college degree, because that was, I think, probably the generation they came from, which I think if, you know, they thought if you got your college degree, then you're set, which is like, we're finding out not the case.
Right. I mean, like as a parent, are you a parent? Are you a parent? Yeah.
Not yet. No, not yet.
But as a parent, I'm like starting to question, like,
right?
what the fuck are we doing with our kids? Like, really?
How old are your kids?
Like, they're grade 9 and 7, so 14 and 12. But like, why do they need to learn the Pythagorean theory when they truly need to learn about like taxes and like budgeting their money and whatever, right?
Yes.
Like,
how to like balance your checkbook and pay off your credit card.
Like life stuff, you know? So what were some of the standout moments of going to USC then for you?
So I did have to audition for the theater program. That was really intense. But I think I knew, okay, if I have to, go to college, and I knew I wanted to go to LA. So that became my life's mission to get in there. I think for me, I showed up and I kind of grew up like wakeboarding, skiing on the weekends. We'd go like dirt biking. I grew up near Seattle. And on lakes like in Idaho and stuff. And then I got to LA and I was like, what are all these girls doing? I was like, I don't know how to fit in. But so there was a lot of adjusting, but I think college was great for me because it gave me a bridge from small town life into living in the big city and learning how to operate and handle myself and keep my foundation.
Like one of the best lines. I think I knew that, okay, if I have to go to college, then I knew that I wanted to go to LA. So it kind of became my life's mission to get there. We got into it with Brooke talking about the fact that, she has tickets or had tickets for the Oasis reunion. I want to get a little snapshot of how that went for her. Incredible to go to such a cool show. The shows that she was binge watching when she finds time, we talked about that. She shared a near-death driving story. Man, there's a lot of driving stories in those near-deaths, eh? Talked about, as mentioned, the love of Kevin Costner. We talked about family, the music that she grew up around. Now back to Sundance and having sunfish shown there. Like what?
One of my number one dreams, of course. Most people hear about, Oscars and all these huge things, but to get into something like Sundance, Robert Redford's who founded it and started it because he wanted new emerging filmmakers to be able to show what they're capable of outside of the big studios where they have millions and millions of dollar budgets. Mm-hmm. And so to be one of 10 films selected for the competition dramatics section, you're kind of like, what? And all the other films, I've been starting to slowly stream them. They're all beautiful. They're all incredible. It's just people that truly want to tell a story and love their art versus, flying around in capes.
Yeah. And fair enough.
Which is fun too. I'd love to do that. But
they're fun though, right? Like you like Marvel and DC movies.
I love movies in general. There's hardly a movie you're going to bring across me that I'm not going to find something to love. So
yeah, fair enough. And have you been personally to Sundance, checked it out, and like got the vibe of the event?
This was my first time. First time everything. It was. I will say I was nervous before because I didn't know what I was walking into, which is, human nature. If you don't know what you're walking into, of course, you're a little anxious. And then I got there and I was like, oh, wow, these are my people. We're all so nerdy and we all like the same things and just want to create weird projects and ideas. So it was fun.
Right? How cool is that? She goes, he wanted new emerging filmmakers to show what they're capable outside of the big studios where they have millions and millions of dollars in budget. No doubt. Sundance is huge. And Brooke was awesome, as was actor Adam Ambruso, who you heard on the podcast in mid-May. His resume is super impressive. Accomplished actor, producer. You'll know him from his roles in Trafficked, Butterfly Caught, and Saltwater. Those would be for sure. And for sure, his latest movie called Eyes in the Trees. It's kind of the reimagined The Island of Dr. Moreau, if you know that movie. So Adam plays an American mob boss who's running a gambling operation in Bangkok. The movie also stars Sir Anthony Hopkins as the scientist, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as the journalist entangled in the chaos. So how did Adam go down the acting path? Well, it's acting classes at the U of T.
I got into college and actually had control over my destiny for the first time, really. I took an acting class at University of Texas alongside of my business classes. And I think I did a monologue for Taps. Sean Penn's monologue in there, the big one.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got done, the teacher just looked at me and said, "Hey, listen, Adam, why don't you stay after? I'd like to speak with you." And he took me into his office and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm not totally convinced, but I think you should consider this a profession."
Mm.
And I remember thinking, well, if this award-winning professor is thinking I should consider this profession, that's all I need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. So I graduated and left.
Such a cool story. So you weren't like a drama nerd in high school then?
I wasn't. See, like, that's the thing. Like, I think I kind of had a little bit of, I was a little insecure in high school because I was a late bloomer and I was a single mom. I didn't really have like a strong male figure in my life to kind of direct me. Mm-hmm. So I was always throwing myself into things like football and stuff to kind of like overcompensate and try to figure out how to like develop that sort of masculinity, because I was looking for that, right? Because I didn't have it at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to be cool. I was trying to do the cool thing. And I was in Texas and everybody played football. And if you didn't play football, you were retarded or weird or something. Mm-hmm. So I was just trying to like do the thing that would make me kind of be cool and fit in.
Mm.
So I just kept going.
Probably being a drama nerd is not at the top of that list.
Drama nerd was not the top, right? Yeah. So I think that once I got into college, you start developing a little bit more of like, I don't care what people think.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now, and plus I grew like 3 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier and whiter. And all of a sudden I became like a dude.
Yeah.
And no one was messing with me anymore. And no one wanted to mess with me anymore. And all of a sudden now it's like, okay, now I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't care what any of these guys say. And so my attitude just completely changed. And that's when my whole life changed. I just really became fearless about, I just started diving into things. I became fearless about my degree. I became fearless about, I didn't know anybody in LA. I was like, I'm just going to pack up a U-Haul and I'm going to head to LA. Like I just started doing like really ballsy, gutsy moves that really, I wouldn't say defined who I was before, when I was kind of like this late bloomer kid trying to come up.
I mean, that's got to be one of the key quotes from Adam's interview with us. If this award-winning professor is thinking I should make it a profession, that's all I needed to hear. Sometimes that's all you need, somebody giving you a little bit of a backslap, right? And if you're like me, when you get a chance to talk to somebody who's at their top of their game, I absolutely love it. You shouldn't be surprised to hear the shows, the movies that kind of led Adam down the path, right? And certainly, or at least the ones that got him interested in the medium, let's say, as a kid, like Gunsmoke, James Bond movies. He talked about Superman. He talked about producing Maserati, which is another project that buzzed for him this year. So was it his role in Eyes in the Trees that spun off into Maserati?
So very interesting, kind of, because I got back while I was there, my agent's like, hey, listen, I'm working on this movie. I think I'm loosely going to be pulling in this movie, Maserati. I might be helping to produce that one as well. Do you have an interest there? And I was like, I mean, obviously, yeah. So I came in kind of like on the tail end of that, because our heads were so into Eyes of the Trees, and this kind of started going on concurrently. So I came back and immediately got involved in the Maserati conversation, and I jumped on board because again, I want to do multiple things in this industry. I'm an actor first, but if I have an opportunity to produce a big movie, fantastic. So I just jumped right in and helped and brought a lot of the things that they were needing for this one as well. Got on with the main producer, and now I'm flying out to Italy. We're going to meet him, and there's a possibility I'll be in this one as well. So, I came in late, so I'm not going to be one of the main roles because, again, primary casting had already happened, but there's something substantial that it looks like I might be doing as well.
So cool. Adam goes, I want to do multiple things in this industry. You know, at the heart of it, after talking to Adam for almost an hour, he's simply a storyteller. He just loves challenging himself and his audience. Great to talk to Adam. I mean, talking about gambling as well. We talked about near-death stories, growing up to the music of Zeppelin, Motley Crue, Rush, and the Beatles. We found out that he's equally a music nerd as he is an acting geek. He talked about growing up in a country music house and how country legend Buck Owens is family. Yeah, family. And Adam shared his first concert story.
First concert ever was Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, nice! Like in the actual, like physical.
Is that crazy?
In the heydays, in the early 80s.
Yeah, and because I was a little boy, and my mom and stepfather took me to that concert, right?
Yeah.
But then I started scalping tickets as a way to make money when I was in 8th grade, and I used to go to like epic concerts because I would be my best friend's dad owned a ticket scalping agency, so we were his little rats, right?
You were like the dude from Fast Times at Ridgemount High.
Totally. He used to drop me off, and we would like get a place in line through lotteries, and we'd buy a bunch of tickets. Then we'd give them to him, and he'd pay us some money, and then we'd somehow get a ticket to go into the show, right? So I used to watch all the freaking bad shows, Scorpions and Rush, and all these cool concerts. But my first one was Olivia Newton-John, not as cool, but she's awesome.
She is awesome.
She was awesome, man.
Or Grease, man. How could that not be cool?
Dude, she's a legend, and really sad loss, man. That was a sad loss. Yeah. How about you?
I was going to say you still go, but then I remembered that you have a 3-year-old, so you probably don't go to concerts.
Oh yeah, no, but I would.
That's done for a bit.
Yeah. Whenever I see breakout artists, I'm like, good for you, man. That's awesome. Like Benson Boone, I see him and he came out and I'm like, dude, way to rock it out, bro.
Crushing it, that dude.
Crushing. I'm like, crushing it, bro. Awesome. Yeah. Obviously Queen influenced, and Queen was awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of artists.
The Toddcast Podcast. Find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and at toddhancock.ca.
I'm missing you. Can we make up the distance? I don't know how to bring us back to existence.
called Chief State, and a brand new song for them, No Breaks. They had a very big year in 2025. You know, with a new album coming out in the new year, expect 2026 to be an even bigger year for those guys. Good guys. I mean, they're great players too. They did a podcast show for us about a year back, and absolute crushers in that band. If you hear of Chief State playing near you, do yourself a favor, go check them out. So looking forward to next week, part 2 of our year in review, and we're going to take you back over the months July through December as we wrap this one up, put a nice little bow on it. Doing it up for episode 380. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for being there, being part of the podcast. If you like what you heard, please do tell your friends about us. It's a big way of how we grow. We see it every day on social media, sharing and commenting and retweeting and everything. It warms my heart. Really, it truly does. We are part of the Realm.fm network. If you're interested in checking out those guys, they're based out of New York City. Realm.fm, worldwide distribution through nonfiction and fiction podcasts. Super thankful for that. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone. Check out all of the videos that we do at our YouTube channel. Why not? Let's do everything through one specific name as well. Let's do some branding and get it out through the Toddcast podcast. Just saying. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. Find links to all sponsor websites at our official website, toddhancock.ca. You can sponsor the podcast for as little as $10 a day. Did you know that? So contact us through the contact page button at our toddhancock.ca. We'll have a beer, have a coffee, a pop, whatever, and see how we can help each other. Oh, and yes, that still applies. If you help us find a sponsor, we'll give you a commission. Right? Make a little side scratch listening to the Toddcast. Okay, so keep that in mind. And until next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Nobody. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Goodbye, Kyle. Did the sound of those words call to you like Pavlov's dog? Then you might enjoy our podcast, Turtle Time.
Every week, you can join me, Riley Hamilton, and my co-host, Amy Scarlatta, as we cover the most pressing Bravo news and dig into the new episodes to answer important questions like, who the hell is Adrian Malouf in this world?
Listen to Turtle Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday.
If you love those, wait, what? Moments, you'll love Something You Should Know. I'm Mike Carruthers, and on my podcast, we explore the fascinating ideas hiding in plain sight, like how elevators change the entire world, how gravity affects your health more than you think, or how to instantly become a better conversationalist. Each episode is fast, fun, and full of insight you'll want to share. So give it a try. Search for Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts.
The Regency era. You might know it as the time when Bridgerton takes place, or the time when Jane Austen wrote her books. But the Regency era was also an explosive time of social change, sex scandals, and maybe the worst king in British history. And on the Vulgar History podcast, we're going to be looking at the balls, the gowns, and all the scandal of the Regency era. Vulgar History is a women's history podcast, and our Regency era series will be focusing on the most rebellious women of this time. That includes Jane Austen herself, who is maybe more radical than you might have thought. We'll also be talking about queer icons like Anne Lister, scientists like Mary Anning and Ada Lovelace, as well as other scandalous actresses, royal mistresses, rebellious princesses, and other lesser-known figures who made history happen in England in the Regency era. Listen to Vulgar History wherever you get podcasts.